What's up, everybody? I'm Mitchin. Welcome to Just Mitchin. I'm here with artist Terence Tang. Terence, how are you doing today?
What's up, man? I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I see that Rocket shirt. I'm not too big of a fan of that. Being a guy from Portland, I'm a big Blazer.
Oh, you're one of those? All right, this
I,
interview's over. No.
oh, okay. Hey, man. All I'll say is Brandon Roy. I mean, even during
Uh,
Roy's like the run.
why you gotta stab me in the heart like that, man?
Yeah, but he's still gonna get through the Rockets, and those are brutal year. Like they were great years for the Blazers because Brandon completely and totally like, saved the franchise. I think they would have been like Seattle and got moved out if that didn't happen. As much as Paul Allen said it had won it, but definitely that rivalry's fun. Even to this day, when you now have like Damon Harden or Damon
Yeah,
Westbrook going up, especially Damon Westbrook because they don't like each other.
yeah, yeah. And Dame has been playing ridiculous. I mean, you can't even. It's just insane what he's been doing. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big Brandon Roy fan. Even though he did that to us, I'm a like I have a couple of his jerseys, some of his shoes. So I am a big Brandon Roy fan.
The natural man, he made it look too easy. Like Dame has like all the flash, but Brandon just naturally gifted. Everything he did looked like I can just go pick up a basketball and do it too. Like he made it like that easy, which it
Yeah,
isn't.
yeah. I just wish we could have seen him play out his whole career. You know.
Yeah, I mean, for how he went out in Portland, I thought was really cool. Because one of his last games was the 20 points in the fourth quarter, 21 points
Hmm.
in the fourth quarter. I thought that was awesome. His comeback with Minnesota, I wasn't a fan of. I understand why he did it. Like every athlete's going to come back. Like how many times Greg Oden's tried to come back?
Sure.
It, knees are knees, especially in the NBA, and especially if you're a Blazer. Like if you're a Blazer, like you're automatically drafted with bad knees. Like I feel like
Yeah.
that's the thing. How have you been feeling about the Rockets and the playoffs so far this year?
I feel okay. I know OKC was they're a tough team, but it's just it doesn't make me feel good that it was such a hard fought battle. I mean, it made for good TV, but yeah, I don't know. I feel okay, but I feel like we have some weaknesses that could be exploited, especially now that we're matching up against the Lakers.
I mean,
So
that Lakers team's just crazy. I mean, any team LeBron's on, I feel like they have an automatic, like this huge advantage. I think
yeah,
if Milwaukee meets them in the finals, that'll be interesting. Just because I think the only person that can guard him besides Kawhi is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
yeah,
Yeah, that kid is well. His nickname's the Greek Freak. He is a freak.
yeah, but somehow they're down 0-2.
Are they? I'm bad with basketball right now, just because I'm such a baseball nut.
Okay,
That like every night, like if I have the option to watch baseball or the option to watch like the NBA, I'm gonna pick baseball, which isn't
gotcha.
usually an issue that I have in like most years. 2020 is just this weird one where we have it all, and then it's gonna be weird that we have like the start of football coming up next week. You got football, baseball, and basketball. You kind of have that going on later on in the year, like in
Yeah,
October, kind of. But now it's like it's a weird year.
it's super weird.
It's has it affected your art business at all?
Oh yeah, I was just when the stay-at-home order hit, I was on the brink of getting like a huge contract, basically to like redo outdoor signage for like a huge restaurant chain, a local restaurant chain, and it was like I was making strides towards getting that deal, and then all of a sudden it was like, nope, everyone stay home. We got to cancel projects. So that was one of the big ones that got canceled, and the other ones got canceled. So, and then it
That's brutal
yeah, and then it just became like daddy daycare for me at home, just watching the kids
because
while
you have two kids.
I have two, 5 and 2.
Oh,
So
so your hands are full like the entire day.
yeah, very full.
Man, so then do you do artwork normally more around later on this time?
Yeah, if they're home, I can't do anything until late at night. But now that they're back at school, for the past couple of weeks they've been back at school, so I've been able to create a lot more during the day. So
Because where are you in Texas or Louisiana?
Texas,
Texas. Okay, so that
yeah,
makes sense. I'm like back at school. I live in Oregon. Like that's like an unheard word right now. Like going back to school, it's all on the computer is what I'm hearing. Like my
yeah,
sister's freshman in college this year. and she's going to University of Oregon, and she's like, well, I guess I'm going to just stay and live with my roommate because there's no point to go to the dorms, or I'm just going to be locked in as a prisoner, do
Right.
online school. I was like, that sucks. Like your freshman year, then your senior year of high school gets messed up over this pandemic.
Yeah, and it's so weird. Like our son was gonna start kindergarten this year, and so it's just been the weirdest, start of school ever for this kid. Just like, okay, get on the computer, do this thing. It's like, what? He can't do that. He's 5.
Yeah,
You
you
know, how
can't
do you
even
expect him
really
to?
read.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I
It's just
mean, maybe like some words. That's a tough situation. It's funny. A lot of the dad artists I've talked to, it's like the nighttime routine. Like, get the kids to bed, and then I'm gonna go focus in on what I'm doing.
yep.
What got you into like customizing shoes? Because it's such a different part of art. Like, not too many people do it. The only person I can think of is Machi.
Yeah. So I've since I was a kid, I've been drawing shoes, but I think I've always just wanted to be a shoe designer, like to
Okay,
actually design basketball footwear and like work with um, um, what do you call it?
athletes.
Yeah, the what do you call those? The the word is escaping me now. Like the big time athletes like Kevin Durant and
Oh,
sig-
superstars.
signature athletes.
Yeah, signature athletes. Like the guys
Yeah,
who have their own shoes and stuff.
yeah, exactly. So that was my dream when I was a kid, and just when I went to college, that was when like the digital age was starting to boom.
Okay.
I'm a lot older than I look, um, but yeah. So it was like all signs were pointing towards doing digital design, graphic design, videography, digital video, that sort of thing. It wasn't like you know I don't know that there was a huge um, we didn't have the resources that we have now, to like
Right.
figure out how to go towards designing shoes. All I knew was what the university that I went to had available. So then it was like film, computer science, advertising, the standard ones. There wasn't like a school that you could attend online or even apply to go to for like shoe design.
Right, because all the original shoe guys are architects. Like, there's so
Yeah,
much math and like weird creativity. Because I live in Beaverton, so like Nike
yeah,
is like a mile away right over there. So
right,
growing up, a lot of my friends, their parents worked for Nike. Right
yeah,
now, I have a lot of friends that work for Nike. It's kind of like one of those things, and I think one of them like does running shoes, and he talks about like how much math he has to put into a shoe. And I'm like, does you just like
jeez,
draw the shoe and like put it up like how you want it? And he's like, no, especially with athletes, like every athlete's different and they want it a certain way. I'm like, oh, okay, makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was just I always wanted to go that route, but never really never got to do it. And so after years of being a graphic designer and then scratching all the other creative itches, I came back to doing analog art because I had done digital for like a decade. I'm just like, I'm sick of digital. I'm going to start drawing again and painting and doing stuff. And then somehow just wound up coming back to drawing on shoes just because I've always been a sneakerhead. So just one day I just picked up a pair of my own shoes and I just started drawing on it. And I had known about sneaker customization, but I never really dove into it. It always looked interesting, but I never really like took the leap into it. And then one day I was just like, I'm just gonna try it. And I tried it, and then it just kind of ballooned.
Well, like I'm thinking because I've looked at so many of the shoes you've done, and it's like one big mesh. The Dames you did talking about being a Blazer fan, the those were so sick. I was
Thanks,
like,
man.
at first I thought they were like, hey, like you had them up there, and I'm like, man, those almost look like they weren't drawn on because like if you really look close, sometimes you can tell that they're
Yeah,
customized. I'm like, God, it looks like it was just produced. No, clean shoe. He has a good signature shoe. Like his shoe definitely, and especially with the white, it makes it easier. So how does that process work? Like, say somebody wants a shoe, do they like send you like what do I got here? My beat up Jordans. Nope, I have Air Force Ones, red ones.
Air Force One's nice.
So do they just send you a pair of red like ones, or do you like say like I want white? Like how what kind of canvas do you like to work on?
So when I first started, white was always preferred because I didn't have the equipment to do any color, and now I can do any color, but it's still, I think all white everything is still it's a blank canvas. But now if you send me an all black shoe, I can do something with it. It just gets a little tricky if you send me you know, like an all green shoe, and then you want it changed to mostly pink or something, you know, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm changing the entire color of the shoe. Like that's hard, you know.
So yeah,
But
that's not easy, especially when it's on like leather or whatever
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
surface you're using.
So generally, if you send me a colorway, I'm gonna try to work with that colorway as much as possible and not change too much of the color, because the more I change, the more potential for that paint job to fail, depending on how you're wearing it and what kind of punishment you're going through it, putting it through. So
And then with like shoes like an Air Force One, because like it does have the swoosh like out, it's not part in the shoe stitched in. Do you do any of like leather customization or any of that kind of stuff to it? The
no,
embroidery?
I haven't done that sort of thing yet. It looks really interesting, but I have zero equipment for that.
It looks interesting. Like it's one of those things like watching his videos, like what he can do with a shoe.
Yeah,
And
I've watched videos from the shoe surgeon, and he's got
yes,
like
he's
an
a really good.
entire workshop and like all these machines and all this crazy stuff. I'm just in a, you know, in the library in my house, you know, like the little studio.
Hey man, it's you got to start somewhere. Who are your inspirations in your art?
Man, inspirations on my art. I have a
Because
lot,
I
really.
saw like your painting too, so you're kind of like you're drawing shoes but not on shoes. That looks sick too.
Yeah, I'm starting. You want a sneak peek at one that I haven't shown anybody yet?
Yeah,
I
hell
actually
yeah.
I just finished it today.
Ooh, what are those? I'm so bad with
So
shoe names.
this is the I believe it's the Tech Challenge
Oh, okay,
LWT. Yeah,
those that's so sick. Like I
Andre
like.
Agassi.
Well, you can't see where I'm pointing. Like the bottom left with like the red, like how it's splashing
Yeah,
out. Yeah, I like the abstractness to it.
yeah. I had to. This is a kind of a tribute to my tennis idol Andre Agassi.
Okay.
So yeah. Uh, Artistic inspirations. I mean, I have. So I'm primarily, for the last like 5 years or so, I've been focused a lot on lettering art. So
Okay.
I have a lot of heroes in that realm. Jeanette Liao, Gemma O'Brien, um, Eric Marinovich, who, if you get a chance to talk to Eric, you should, because he did a lot of the playoff branding for the Warriors over the last couple of years.
Okay.
So if you see like the strength in numbers,
Yeah.
he worked
Yeah.
on that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, awesome guy. But
Because you're one of our like reach outs. Usually, like lately, we kind of jump into like the. I'm a big baseball fan. Abe's more of an NBA guy, and like that's why I like brought somebody on who does shoots, like to talk basketball with him. And of course, he's moving.
yeah,
But we were in that like weird thing trying to still figure out like what sport we're gonna cover. We want to cover all sports. So you're actually one of our. I think you're the first non-baseball person.
oh nice,
Yeah,
cool.
this is fun. So especially like me being a sneakerhead and a shoe guy, I was like, oh, this will be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Because
I'm like 99% a basketball fan, and then like 1% tennis.
okay, oh man, I can't tell you last time I watched tennis. Basketball has been a very interesting year for I think a lot of people with how political it's gotten and like
Hmm.
and especially in the day of like political era we live in, you either have one opinion or the other. You can't like be torn on everything like how it used to be. And I
Yeah,
think that's something that's I've it kind of put me off because like I tell people all the time I'm a conservative in Portland. Like I'm like that odd kid, and but I understand what the fight is for. Like I get that stuff,
sure.
but it's like I see why people are walking away from it. And for me, it's really awkward not having fans. Like I have that issue watching baseball games. Like this is so weird. Like you're pumping in fake noise and like some and like for baseball, it's like you have some of these teams are like pumping in. It sounds like it's like a playoff game, and I'm like, you don't have that much fans in the playoffs. What are you doing?
Yeah, they were just showing on the news today that the Astros have like cardboard cutout people in the stands.
Yeah, so did the Mariners. I'm a big
Yeah.
Mariners fan. It's like $30, and the Mariners I think are the cheapest cutouts, $30, and I think they have like 18,000.
Wow. Okay.
And like I'm broke as a joke, so I'm like I'm not spending $30 on that. I'd rather buy something else.
Yeah.
But getting more into like to the shoe game. How many pairs? I see all these pairs of shoes. How many pairs of shoes do you own? That's always a fun
So
one. And does
like
the wife ever tell you no more?
yes. like every other day she tells me that. But I've been good about getting rid of some if I want to get new ones. So
Okay.
I'm trying to keep it under control. But in terms of wearable shoes, because I have a part of a collection that's just like all NBA player exclusive shoes.
Okay.
It's like, kind of a museum in a box. Like
You don't wear
it's there
those.
and I can't wear those. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
And
I
so I've
understand that.
probably got 100 or so of those. But then like my own wearables, maybe a couple hundred by now. So
Jeez, my stepdad gives me crap for having too many shoes. I like basketball shoes. I mean, I sold a bunch when I hit when my disorder hit, like being broke. That was like at the time the most expensive thing and best money maker I had because I had all the Gatorade Jordans, so those were really easy. Even the
nice.
greens, they're
Yeah.
easy to just get on with. The only pair I kept were the 11s. I love me some 11s,
Yeah.
especially lows. They go with everything. They're easy to wear.
Yep.
And then another pair. Let me see if I can grab them. I thought I put them closer. These I sometimes wear my air pennies. The cool story behind these is Steve Blake gave them to me. So Nike gave them
Really?
this. Yeah, Nike gave them to Steve Blake, and then Steve Blake gave them to my dad because Steve Blake's never gonna wear a pair of air pennies because when he played, he wore Kobe's.
Yeah, that's so random.
Right? Like, yeah, because when he was moving after like he left Portland, his sister had like all this gear and stuff. She like just gave it away. So we got like my dad has I think a warm up jacket and like track pants of his, and I got the shoes, and I'm like, that's cool. Like they don't say Steve Blake or anything, but I know where they came from.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm never selling them. I rarely wear them just because they're really bulky. I'm more of an Air Force guy, really like coming into that. Or I like the Roshis. I like the cheap Roshis.
Dude, I had once upon a time I probably had around 40, 50 pairs of Roshis.
Just all the different colors.
Yeah, all in different colors. And like I couldn't get enough of them. They're so
They're such a simple shoe.
yeah.
Like I love the big like wide bottom, the big like white bottom, and then like almost any colorway they throw them together with it. Sometimes you see like the cool tie dye ones.
Yep.
Are you a Nike, Adidas, saying Under Armour feels weird, but they're getting into the shoe game. Like, where do you sit, or can you jump like Adidas, Reebok?
I try not to have a bias, but I do naturally lean towards Nike just because of the design aesthetic. Like there's an aesthetic and a nostalgia about Nike's shoes that just does it for me. And I like Adidas for sure. They've been killing it lately with their designs and their tech. But like 10 years ago or so, this is kind of relevant and funny. I used to write for a magazine where I wrote sneaker basketball shoe performance reviews.
Okay.
So I would get a shoe, play in it, and then like update a blog where I reviewed the shoe and talked about like different aspects of the performance of the shoe. And so I got picked up by a magazine to write for the magazine.
Oh, that's sick.
So I did that like 10, 15 years ago. It was really fun. But
don't ever play in Jordans. That's what I
no.
I thought it was good. Like when I used to like ball like 5, 6 years ago, like at the gym, I had candy cane 14s, and they were just in the car one day, and I forgot like my hyper dunks. And I was like, okay, I'll just grab these, wear them. And I ruined them one right away, like scraped off the red and all of this. And two, I'm like, how does he play in these things? They're so clunky.
Dude, but there's something magical about walking onto the court in some 11s, though.
Oh yeah, they're
for the court in 11s, and you're like, all right.
I've never worn 11s on the court, or the 14s. The 14s are fun. I like the 14s a lot. I like that design.
Yeah.
The newer ones, really like I can't get into them. I'm definitely like 15 down kind of guy.
Yeah. The numbered Jordans, like the traditional numbered Jordans. Yeah.
They're good. Like Tinker had magic with it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And I mean, he's had magic with anything, with a bunch of different shoes that he's done. I mean, that guy, the way he thinks outside the box, like puts like cars into the shoe, and you're like, oh, that's okay. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but you were talking about design inspirations. I mean, he's definitely one that coming in as an architect and then using what he knows there and putting it into designing shoes. I mean,
changed the roadmap of shoes.
Yeah,
I mean, awesome. It didn't help, and like it didn't hurt that like he got the greatest basketball player of all time to wear like one of his first shoes.
Yeah.
I think that helps you out. But this, like, even if like the 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, like they're all clean. The early ones are good, and I think he really started to hit his stride. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and 11. Those are like probably like the most magical for me. Especially, there's something about the 11. I think because it's a Space Jam, and they came out with like the Wing 96s. Those
Yep.
are just classy shoes. Like especially with the patent leather, you can wear anywhere. It doesn't crease too bad. They're pretty
Yeah.
easy to clean.
Yeah. I've sold all my Jordans except for 11s and 3s.
Oh,
That's all I
really?
have left. Yeah.
What
11s and 3s.
What are you collecting right now then? Like what's besides the PEs?
Right now, I think I'm mostly so I've hung on to quite a few of my Kobe's,
Okay.
but I'm trying to get more. But this is just so insane lately. Like all the prices have doubled, tripled, and it's just impossible to get anything.
I've never owned a pair of Kobe's. The one pair of Kobe, like there's two like iconic pairs like in my head are his Adidas moon boots.
Hmm.
Those ones like I remember because I'm 28, so like I remember like in middle school, you had a bunch of kids rocking those, and you're like, what are these? They're like the
Yeah.
ugliest shoe I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They were so bad, but at the same time, they had such a uniqueness to them
Yeah.
and like so futuristic, and cool, and of course Kobe's rocking.
Yeah, and well, when he jumped over to Nike, Nike really ran with his shoe design, and like from the Kobe 4 onward, when they started going low top, like
Mm-hmm.
that's when they basically revolutionized basketball shoe design with him doing that, because everyone always thought, don't play in low tops, you'll roll your ankle. But then
Right,
they finally figured out it's not about how high the ankle collar is. It's more about how stable your heel is sitting inside the shoe. So it's imagine it like think of like a Lamborghini, right? Lamborghinis, they don't roll because they're wide and they're stable. But if you think of like an SUV, they're tall and clunky, so they can roll much easier. So it's the
right,
same thing applies to a shoe. You keep the profile low, you keep your foot contained and locked in, you're not going to roll. And if you're going to roll, I mean, if you're going to roll in a high top, you're going to roll anyway. You know, like a high top is
right.
not going to save your ankle.
Well, and I'm thinking like Kobe, like how you said he had like started like the low profile shoe. He also
Mhm.
has like the tallest shoe I think I've ever seen a basketball player have.
Oh, with the sock part.
Yeah, the boxing shoes is basically like what I thought they were.
Yeah,
They were cool looking. Like they were like to watch people play them were cool, but then like they're not aesthetically pleasing. Like I
yeah,
don't know how you rock those with anything.
yeah. I didn't get into that one.
And I thought it was cool. Like on the back end, like they had like this scar on the back when he blew out his Achilles and everything. I'm not a fan of LeBron, but I like LeBron shoes. I thought Nike's done a good job with that. I think KD had hit a lot of hit and misses with him. Not
Yeah,
always been a KD fan.
yeah. The thing about the KD shoes, like some of the earlier designs were really cool, but it became very apparent that KD shoes were designed for people with cheetah feet. So
Yeah,
if you have mildly wide feet, then no possible way you can wear KDs.
well, that's how I felt with the LeBron 13s because I had those and like getting those shoes on are like the biggest pain in the ass. And you don't want to rip like the back strap or the front strap and trying to keep your foot like once you got in, you're like this shoe's comfortable. It's like a
Yeah,
sock. But
yeah.
like getting into it because I sold those. I had the the Black Friday version, and
Okay, yeah.
I had to make sure I had to get those, and I wore them like twice. I'm like, I can't lose because like you forget like the gum gets so dirty so quick,
Yeah.
picks up everything. It's like that. Like white, I have a lot of pairs of white shoes I like. Like I notice like I don't worry as much when my white shoes get dirty as like I am like with certain colors. You're like, gosh, that's just not gonna go away.
Hmm. That's
Uh,
interesting.
and then like PE, like what players do you collect? Is it like a certain player?
So I collected, let's see, I collected back like in like between the late 2000s era. So
Okay.
it was players like I have some Sean Marion shoes. That was when Andre Iguodala was getting his start, and I was a big fan
Ugliest
of
jump
his.
shot in the world.
Yes,
So
yes.
bad.
But that guy was a fantasy beast, though, man. Like,
Well, and he's a defensive nightmare. Like
Yeah.
he comes on the court and you're like, this guy's not that athletic.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't look it. Like he doesn't have a great body. He's
A
not
little bit
super tall.
undersized.
Yeah. And he comes out there and he shuts down anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got some Sean Marion's AK-47s.
Okay.
Yeah, I got some of
Go.
his. I was a huge Gilbert Arenas fan before he like went off the rails. But
He was fun to watch, man.
yeah, back when he would take game-winning shots and raise his arms before the shot went in, I was just like, how do you not like this guy?
Some guys just like have that swagger and that confidence. Like I
Yeah.
always go back to Dame because Dame has that. Like when he hit that shot on Paul George and he's just like waving away, you're like, first of all, like my mind was like that went in, and second, I'm
Yeah.
like, did he just wave goodbye? Like you like have to like process both at the same time.
Yeah.
Or like even Steph does it when Steph like throws it up and just turns away and starts like
Yeah.
walking down the court, and I'm like, oh, that's in.
Yeah.
And then it's funny like the one time he misses it, and you're like, gotcha. But it's like one out of every like 100. It's crazy how like the game has changed. It's three ball. It's so
Yeah.
weird. And you got big, like you got Bol who's shooting threes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's like
And
50.
if you're like a traditional big man these days, it's like you're getting phased out of the game.
Like Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Thinking how young Dwight still is. He's in his early 30s.
Yeah.
Like, but I feel like he's been playing forever.
Yeah.
Which it is. It's like LeBron. LeBron's coming up on year 20. And I remember when everybody was watching him on ESPN when he was at St. Mary's Academy.
Yeah.
And then complete phenom. Are you a fan of LeBron shoes?
I am.
Okay.
I am. They're a little bulkier than I typically like.
Like the threes.
Yeah. Yeah. But in general, I think LeBron's shoes fit better. Like they fit my feet pretty well. I just don't have that many of them. I've got some 16s back there just because they're in an Andre Agassi color.
Oh, okay.
I was like, ooh, Andre Agassi LeBrons. I gotta get those.
So were you a tennis player growing up?
Just recreationally. Just
Okay.
Played a lot in my neighborhood court with friends.
Never played tennis. I think I played tennis like once in my life, and I was like, "This is too much freaking running. I'm not doing this shit."
Yeah.
But thinking about it, they've had some crazy shoes, like especially like what Agassi definitely wasn't one of his shoes like kind of changed the game a little bit.
I mean, a lot of his shoes changed the game. Like
Okay.
if you look at his whole line, like they just don't make shoes like that anymore. Like if you look at if those shoes released now and you'd never seen them before, you'd be like, what the heck? Like they're just so out there.
Okay.
Like they really thought outside of the box with his shoes and just completely changed the game.
I think that was the one fun thing with Nike, like in the late like 90s and early 2000s. They weren't scared to take big risks.
Yeah.
I feel like the last like 5-6 years, like the Kyries, the LeBrons, the KDs all kind of look the same. They have different designs, but it's all the Flyknit. It's all no tongue, slip on. When you used to have all these crazy shoes, even like in the 2010s, like John Wall's first pair of shoes, the Reebok Zigs. Nobody had that idea to have something. They were ugly. I thought they were terribly ugly. But it's in a unique shoe.
Yeah.
Or it's like, who am I thinking of? Was it Tim Duncan that wore like the Dad-As back in the day? They like had the spinners on it.
Oh, Spreewell.
Spreewell, yes. Like just goofy stuff, which made it so much fun because that's the NBA.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I give the NBA credit for is being able to express yourself in such a unique way. Like you never think like Allen Iverson would have such a cool line of shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially now that they've removed all restrictions on shoes. Like in a game, you don't have to match your uniform anymore. You can wear whatever the heck you want.
How many shoes have you put into an NBA game? Because I know you've had a couple players you've got to do.
So I've got let's see, Robert Covington, Daniel House, how am I blanking out on this? There's one more. Ben McLemore.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have a Lexi Brown, WNBA. Yeah. So yeah, just those 4.
Hey man, that's 4 more than some guys have.
Yeah, I'm hoping it can be more.
I think I've looked at your work. You definitely have the talent. Like
Thanks.
it's definitely coming there. It's like with anything, just the more eyes that get on it, the more people want it, and that's how it does. How much does it cost to get your shoe customized by you? Does it depend on like the bride, like what shoe?
Yeah, it just kind of depends
How
on.
do your commissions work?
Yeah, it just kind of depends on what you want to do to it. I mean, if you want to just let me go crazy, like I'll change the entire shoe for like $400 or $500.
Okay.
But all the Black Lives Matter shoes that I did for the NBA players, like those were all donated art. So um, basically, shoes just arrived at my door, and then I painted them. I sent them back, and
I
so
mean, that's like one of the best ways to get your art out there. Sometimes you have to do it for free. I don't know if you know who Blake Jameson is. We're big fans of him on this show. He's I don't know how to explain Blake's art. He does it's a lot of street art, a lot of stencil spray painted,
okay,
and because we're big baseball card guys, we're huge into the baseball community. And what they're doing this year is Topps 2020. They took 20 artists, 20 iconic cards.
I know one of them,
Who?
F dot.
I love F Dot. I've been working on trying to get F Dot to come on to the show.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, because his publicist is the same publicist as Blake's, Tony.
Oh, okay.
So the Babe Ruth one that he did with the Blob,
Yeah.
that Babe Ruth, that's Blake Jameson's art.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Blake told us, like, I asked about his commissions. He said like 1 out of every 3 paintings he does is free,
Oh, cool.
just to get it like out there, to get
Yeah.
people to see what he's doing. Because
I like that.
he did it in the NFL way. So he never like he wanted to draw athletes, but football players kind of fell in his lap. It's kind of like, I'll paint you a painting, and then the athlete, like, they see that painting, they're like, oh, where's that from? Because they're competitive. They're like, oh, I want something like that, and then now you got then you have a client.
Yeah.
What shoes are you working on right now? Like anything crazy?
What am I working on right now? Right now, I'm just working on a couple of personal commissions. I just sent some stuff out, so nothing crazy with like pro players or anything. I really, really want to get some shoes into the Olympics somehow.
Okay.
I don't know how. Maybe through WNBA players or something.
NBA.
But
I mean, you probably can even get track guys. Like, I think anybody, like, any kind of shoe can be customized.
right, yeah. I mean, I just have to find a connection somehow.
Find the person. I think that's always the thing, is like what doors are going to open and what doors are going to close.
Right.
How do you, as an artist, deal with rejection when somebody goes, your art's whack, like, it sucks, I don't like it? How much does that affect you, and how much does it motivate you?
To be honest, it affects me a lot. At first, it's kind of rough, especially when it's something that you feel like like I feel like I'm a perfect fit for that project, and I pour my heart and my soul into it for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and then it comes back and it's just like, oh, it's okay, and I'm just it just completely sucks, man. It's like, it can get as bad as like questioning why you're even doing what you're doing, and like contemplating career change and stuff like
Right.
that. Like, it's like the creative imposter syndrome is like deep and real.
Especially now when everybody's a keyboard warrior, where they want to criticize everything you do. And like, even when your stuff's on point, you always have that one jackass who's like, the colorway's not matching. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? It's complete fire. Like, thinking so outside of the box. Like,
Yeah.
I love the WNBA players. Like, say her name. Like, I love like how you do your calligraphy. Is that the right word?
Lettering.
Yeah, your lettering. Like Justice, you had that one written out. I was like, it almost looks like kanji in a way, like how they have like the paintbrush going on. The only reason like I can think of that is I have that kanji tattooed on my wrist, and they ask me like, do you want that like brushed out? And I was like, yeah, that's like how it always looks when you look at like scrolls and stuff. Yeah. And that's how I look at it. Do you put any of your Asian heritage into your art?
Occasionally. I think I do tend to gravitate towards a brush style, and I don't know if that's just, I mean, I'm not consciously trying to, inject heritage into it. I think it's just something I'm drawn to.
Well, it's part of
And
you.
yeah, and I mean, I have this pair here that I did, this this humankind across the back,
That's so sick.
and so that's not actual. I mean, it is drawn with a brush, but it's not like written out with like a giant brush. It's a tiny brush, and then just like a billion little
Just like
strokes.
strokes. That's
Yeah,
so dope.
yeah, and so this is kind of my style, and this is what I like doing. It just
It's
so
un-
happens that,
it's unique, and like especially on any kind. Like I just keep grabbing the Air Forces because they're right there. Like you can do that on the toe, on the sides. I mean, I love that style of writing. What? Because I asked this because Abe's Asian. He's from Nepal. So
okay,
what is your ethnicity?
I'm Chinese.
Okay, I didn't never want to assume anything, especially in this dating.
Sure.
Yeah, he's from Nepal, so I was like, it's a perfect guy to talk to. Like, is the coming? Because are you Asian American or are you from China?
Asian American.
Okay, was it difficult growing up, especially like in Texas, like dealing with
Yeah.
bigots? Is the best way
Yes.
to say it?
Yeah. I mean, the neighborhood that I grew up in, I was like one of three Asian kids in like a mostly black school.
Okay,
And it's not that I got picked on a lot in that school, but it was just that, as we stuck out like sore thumbs, it wasn't like, we didn't have that many people that we identified with, and people didn't understand us. We didn't understand them. So it was very odd. And then going into middle school, high school, of course we're going to get picked on a lot.
right.
I was a smaller Asian kid back then. So, you know, just of course going to get picked on a lot.
Bullying's bullshit. I'm a big white guy and I got picked on so bad. Like I was in 4 different high schools. I was a good athlete too. Like I just didn't fit in, and
Yeah.
that's the one. I feel like a lot of people that have creative outlets, like either if it's a podcast or you're an artist or something, you've been picked on in some kind of way.
Mm,
Because you definitely find that creative way when you're alone a lot of yourself. You have to find a way to entertain yourself
mm.
in that kind of way.
That's true. I hadn't
I've
thought of it
noticed
that
that.
way.
Or like people that like I'm a big mental health advocate. People like who struggle with like depression or anxiety. It's a
Sure.
great way to get it out. This is my way of getting it out.
Yeah.
Is there anything on like your art where you say no, I'm not doing that? Like anything that like pushes boundaries, like
I mean, generally, if I'm gonna be supporting something that I don't believe in by doing this project, then I'm probably not gonna do it. I don't care if it's like huge pay. I think I'm just wired that way to be kind of an advocate for what I stand for, and not do something just because it's a job and a paycheck.
no,
Um,
100%. I honor that. Like you have to be that way, especially in today's like world. You definitely have to stand with your beliefs because if you don't, you just get walked all over with.
yeah, yeah.
It,
Unfortunately, it means I don't get paid very often.
hey man, so is this your full time gig right now, or are you still doing graphic design on the side?
I take whatever comes my way. I've kind of mostly stopped doing um, like logo design jobs.
Okay,
Like people try to come to me with logos, and I'm like, I don't want to do logos because they take a long time. I like I said before the pandemic hit, I was focused on murals because murals were cool. I got to go out and hand paint something somewhere and then see it when it's done, and then when it's done I get paid. It's not like a logo where I'm thinking about it 24/7 for like months,
you got somebody
and
telling you if they like it or they not. They want the
yeah,
changes to it.
yeah, and I don't get paid until the very end. I mean, I
That's
can,
nice.
yeah. So it's like murals were great because what I just said, but
And it's your way to interpret them. You don't have to go off other people's things because most people, from what I've understood with murals, they kind of let you have your way with it.
yeah, yeah. I think that's been kind of the big struggle as an artist is I've been trying to define a style to where people come to me for what I do and not come to me because of what I can make for them.
I think you've
Like
hit it with your letters.
I hope so.
They're so unique. Like I want to see them on a T-shirt. Like that's where my mind kind of goes to, like taking it off there because it's just kind of cool on a T-shirt. Like have the Rockets or something like that. That would be cool to me. I don't know if that's something you'd want to do. But like my mind, I'm a big clothing person. Like I love my shoes, but I like logos. I like how things come together, that kind of stuff, like lettering. So that's why I'm in love with your letterings, because I can just think of how cool it look on like for like a Nike shirt or something.
I'll have to send you some T-shirts. I have a couple things.
Oh,
Right
really?
now.
As
Yeah,
long as they're fat guy size. I'm fat. I'm not that fat. I just lost 20 pounds.
oh, nice.
Yeah,
Congrats.
it got to the point where when like sitting around on your ass for 18 months, like can't walk, like can't do a lot of stuff that you're used to. Anytime I try to get too active, like I'll have like a seizure or something. So like
Mm,
be very careful with it. So I usually sit at like 220, 230. I
mm,
got up to 285, and my mom's like, "That's enough. Like you're done eating all the time. Like we're gonna go." So I'm supposed to be gluten free like my entire life, but I like bread too much. So I
yeah.
just cut out like all the carbs, all the sugars, all the gluten, and I dropped like 25 pounds in 2 weeks. Like
Wow.
it went off, and then like in walking around the block with my walker, like easy stuff like that. And now I'm like today, like we went to Chick-fil-A and they screwed up our order. They gave us some like we wanted grilled nuggets, and they gave me like regular nuggets, and
Hmm.
I haven't had regular like breaded food in like
Yeah.
a month.
Yeah.
It's like the most majestic thing I've eaten. And then I had a blizzard like right before you got on because it's pumpkin season and I wanted one. So like I've been bad today, but hey man, you got to treat yourself.
Nice.
Yeah, that kind of fun stuff. So you got T-shirts. Do you sell prints or do you just sell like? Do you take your art, like the shoe behind you, do you turn it into a print, or is it just a one of one?
So these I've been kind of thinking about how I want to approach it. I think I might still turn them into prints, but the one of one, the original is for sale. So
I think that's
I've
a cool
been,
way to do it.
yeah, because then it's like, if you want to own the original, that's cool, it's available, but otherwise, you can get a much more affordable print.
Well, and you can run like a number on it too, so it's not like unlimited. So it
Sure.
still has that like a limited edition that us collectors like,
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
numbering. That's
For
because
sure.
I always think about that like in the card world. Like if I move this, it's like baseball cards all up to yin yang, and
Nice.
I'm very picky. Like I like everything to be numbered. I like it to have its own uniqueness. Like
Nice.
I'll just scroll through, and that I think that's like in any collector is that like the pickiness, especially like you have that cool collection being like player exclusive. To me, that's so cool because like it's an expensive hobby, but it's such a unique hobby because those are mostly one of ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's not that many PE collectors out there. I mean, if you're a PA collector, you're pretty hardcore.
Like you're
Like,
full into it.
yeah, like most people just, if you got a pair from a game or something, you have one pair, or you're kind of a super fan and you have three pairs, but it's like you have a bunch of other stuff too. Like, there's not that many guys who just collect PE shoes,
Like
and that's
whatever
it.
you can get. Do you care like who the player is, or are you just like I'm happy to get like if it's been in an NBA game I want.
Yeah, I don't care who it is. I mean, because as far as I'm concerned, if you made it to the NBA, like that's awesome. 'Cause I remember one specific instance. I was at the Rockets game, and they were doing autograph signing, and Steve Novak came out, and Steve Novak was doing a signing, and most people don't.
Marquette,
Yeah, yeah, and most people don't know who Steve Novak is.
right?
Even like Rockets fans don't know who Steve Novak is, and he's on the freaking team. So if Steve Novak comes out and he starts signing autographs, and um, someone next to me goes, "Hey, are you big yet?" And I'm just like, "The heck are you talking about? Is he big yet? He's on an NBA
NBA
team.
team.
Like,
They only
it doesn't.
carry 12 guys. Like,
I know, like it doesn't get that much bigger than that, Like,
and he had a long career. I mean, he was a Knick, he was a Rocket.
yeah,
That's like one of my friends say it's like my reunion. You can ask me somebody who went to college. I can tell you what, like NBA player where they went to college. I only can do that in the NBA. Like college, like football's hard, baseball's impossible. Because
yeah,
half the time you're like Puerto Rico. I don't know.
yeah,
But like NBA, it's if you're a basketball fan, you watch them in college,
yeah,
or like you've watched them in high school.
yeah,
Like I mean, I didn't like that's the one thing like I regret like being like my age. Like especially like the '90s, the high school basketball that they had going on. Like, can you imagine if it was like today's day and age, like how you had like Kobe, you had Marbury going off, you had Kevin Garnett, like all those guys on the East Coast, and none of them got really seen unless you were there.
Yeah.
I'm like, now you're like Brony, all his games are on ESPN this year.
Yeah.
Or all the Balls. You've seen all the Balls brothers play for 6 years.
Yeah. I mean, we heard about Zion when he was like 14.
Yeah, dunking, and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about like the card hobby, Zion basically changed it by itself.
What, really?
Yeah, so the card prices, I would say like a year ago, you could find like basketball, baseball, football, like at Targets or anywhere. And Zion kind of comes out. His hype gets a lot of shoe guys into the game. So a lot of shoe collectors jump over to the card game, and what happened was prices start shooting up because a lot of sneaker people, we like to flip things because shoes flip well. And so you started getting the card flipper, the shoe flippers into the card game.
Trying to invest in that rookie card.
Yeah, that rookie card, or like even now, like you'll have like baseball top chromes. Like I went to Target today, you can't find anything. Like there's nothing on the wall because people get there, they figure out the day the distributor is getting there, they buy up all their product, and then they flip a $20 box for $80.
Jeez.
Because you have that, like you're chasing after that one thing. I won't pay those prices. I'm like, no, I'll pay it if I see it. It's just like shoes. I'm not a big aftermarket shoe guy.
Yeah.
Like if I can get it, I can. I might sit on StockX and like look at what I can get. What do you use to get your shoes? Are you a guy that sits up there at like early in the morning waiting for it to be able to jump on and hope you beat the boss?
Yeah, it's not the same as it used to be. I definitely was that. I was that guy who stayed up all night refreshing browsers and,
I miss
getting in
out in the
line
shoes.
if I have to. Yeah.
Or like the stores, like you like stood out in line or you had the lottery number.
Exactly. Like now it's completely changed. I mean, I tried for all those Kobe's that released last week or a week ago, and just all the bots gobbled them up. Like it wasn't even possible, and it's not fun anymore, And it's just like it sucks for people who, especially in the Kobe sense. Like there's all these Kobe fans who wanted to get these shoes, to commemorate, and they all went to resellers who were just trying to make a buck off of them. Yeah, it's just
I get the capitalistic sense of that. Like I am a capitalist at heart.
Sure.
I think any entrepreneur is, and any way you go for it. But at the same time, it's like I get jealous. I'm like, I want that. Like I don't want to flip it. I just want to be able to keep it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not like, I have a very love-hate relationship with Kobe. Being a Blazers fan, he's made me like cry more times than I've been like, oh yeah, Kobe, that I-5 rivalry. Just like with the Rockets. I mean, the Blazers know how to break your heart.
Yeah.
And I always say that with the Packers, they know how to break your heart, and the Mariners, well, they don't even know what they're doing half the time. 20, it's 19 years without making it to the playoffs.
I was a pretty hardcore Kobe hater, right up until like maybe a year into his retirement, when he started winning Oscars and like doing all his Mamba Academy stuff, and like after basketball was when I really started respecting him a little bit more.
I mean, it was hard because we both remember what number 8 did, why he became 24. That was sour taste. I think that's in a lot of our older heads' minds because we remember it on ESPN, seeing it every like 5 seconds, and that's all you could talk about. Yeah. Being a Blazer fan and seeing him so much, I only got to see him play one time. It was his last time at the Moda Center. I sat by CJ McCollum's mom. My dad's friends with her. So that was really cool. I got to meet CJ after that game. I got to ask CJ, like, what's it like guarding Kobe? And he's like, he doesn't take it off. And that's where I like respected him. That's where I give LeBron a lot of shit. I'm a big LeBron hater. I think LeBron takes time off. I think if LeBron, he's the most talented. I would say he's the most talented, gifted person, like physically, that's ever walked this earth. I mean, 6'8", 280, he can run like a 4.5.
Yeah.
That's just not possible.
Yeah.
But he does it. And I think sometimes LeBron gets in LeBron's way. And I think we've all seen it. And I don't know how you call it. He can be called the greatest player of all time, but he can't shoot free throw. Drives me nuts. Like, that's my one argument. Like, when people tell me that, like my brother will, I'm like, dude, can't hit a free throw. Look at Jordan's percentage. Look at his.
Yeah.
It's an all-around player. Are you a LeBron or Jordan guy?
I am a Penny Hardaway guy.
Hey, that talking about Brandon Lloyd, Penny Hardaway's what it could have, should have.
Yeah, man, for sure. But like I just remember, being a high school kid and all his shoes were coming out, and I was just like, holy shit, I got to get a pair of pennies.
Well, then you had Chris Rock in the commercials.
Yeah, yep.
That's Lil Penny.
And Tyra.
Oh yeah, Tyra was in those. I have to think.
Yeah, actually, that first shoe that I painted, the LWP, the other one, the red one. That was a shoe that Penny wore before his signature shoe.
Okay.
So that's when I really started like that was my favorite shoe of all time, and then that's when I started I was like, oh, Penny's wearing those. I gotta start following Penny.
He was a unique, and he had before Shaq had Kobe, it was Shaq and Penny. Penny was diming him up the skinny Shaq and that dominancy. So you're definitely more. That's the one thing. Being born in '92, I miss the classic '90s basketball. I saw more of the early 2000s, like Kobe and of course LeBron. LeBron just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Stop bitching. I mean, I'm a big Dwayne Wade fan. My dad is.
Yes.
My dad's from the Midwest, from Milwaukee, so I actually got to see Dwayne Wade's last game on Marquette.
Very
one of
cool.
those cool things. They played DePaul, so definitely Dwayne Wade, his style of play, definitely is the reason why he's not still playing today.
Mm-hmm.
So Flash going to the net. I mean, I like those guys that are fearless.
Yeah.
And they're kind of a flash in the pan these days too. You don't see too much of that. I think we might see that with Cole Anthony.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he likes to play above the rim. He likes to be a little flashy. I don't think we'll see that with Melo at all. I think he's going to shoot the three and pass the ball a lot. But are you excited for this year's draft class?
A little bit. I only know of the first few, the top 5 picks or so.
Me too. I think the March Madness killed us this year with that.
Yeah. And the draft is coming up right after the playoffs end, which is
it's
really
weird. And then the season's supposed to start in November.
Yeah.
It's 2020 is weird. How do you feel about jogging in the Rookie of the Year and not Zion? Because I've been reading about that. Even though Zion missed all those games, people are like, Zion deserves it.
Oh, I was definitely a Ja for Rookie of the Year guy.
I fell in love with Ja in the NCAA tournament. Just watching what he did, and a Damian fan. I like good guards from small schools.
Yeah,
because they're so underrated. They don't play with a lot. They don't have that talent around them that you have when you go to Duke.
Yeah.
And then so I think that makes them more unselfish in those big moments. They know how to step up and they want the ball, but they also know when to give it up.
Yeah.
Because they have that huge chip on their shoulder.
And he seems like such a good, grounded kid. Seems like he's just gonna work hard, outwork everybody.
And I think that's the one thing that the NBA is kind of lacking these days. I think because they've been told in AAU that they're stud forever.
Right.
That's why I'm a fan of Damian Lillard. He's very humble, very down to earth. He stands up for what he believes in. Everybody's talking about protesting and stuff, but he's out there doing it. So I'm all right. I get you. I feel you with that.
Yeah.
It's also that who's that kid from the Spurs who's out there doing it, cleaning off walls. I thought that was really cool. He's got the weird hair.
Lonnie Walker?
Yeah, Lonnie Walker was out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, even going I'm definitely a firm believer, stand up for the flag. I'm a veteran. Isaac standing up there for the flag, or Myers Leonard doing it. Not a Myers Leonard fan, but standing up for the flag because that's what he believes in. And he's connected with his teammates. They get it, he gets it.
Sure.
Even though he's getting all this hate for it, I mean, we live in this country that you're allowed to believe in whatever you want to believe in.
Yeah.
And I think the NBA does that well sometimes and does that really poorly sometimes.
Yeah.
LeBron's the worst at it, in my opinion. But I think that's just LeBron's had his way forever. LeBron's been the coach, GM, commissioner of the NBA for 20 years.
Yeah.
He calls the shots and then everybody else goes with it. think
Totally.
and I don't think we've ever seen an athlete like that before. Like Michael didn't really have that. I mean, yeah, what is he gonna tell Phil what to do? I mean, we all saw that in the Last Dance, how that went.
Yeah.
Phil's definitely the guru of superstars.
Yeah.
Like the guy he's dealt with.
It is kind of cool to see though that like how the players have kind of not taken control, but kind of exercised the power that they have. You know, because before it was just like, you know, players versus owners or players versus the league.
You see that in the MLB a lot. You see that in the NFL.
Yeah.
But yeah, the NBA is definitely the players. Yeah. And I think Adam Silver's done a really good job of listening to his players.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the NBA, a lot of the players have done a good job of staying out of trouble. I think that helps you too. Like their images, a lot of them are good. We're not seeing it what we grew up with.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for a second, like NBA was like how gangster could be.
Yeah.
Like, talking about Gilbert Arenas bringing a gun into, or Spremo punching his coach in the face, like
the Portland Jailblazers.
Rasheed Wallace. I would love Rasheed Wallace to the day like I die. His game was so fun to watch. Yeah. Wearing Air Force One high tops out there, like who does that? And like, but yeah, the Jailblazers had so much talent. You had Telfair who never like came out. Yeah. He's supposed to like be like the stud. I mean, he went to Lincoln, so same as Marbury. He's supposed to be a better guard than Marbury. Those Coney Island guards just don't work in the NBA. Yeah. Unfortunately, because Marbury and Telfair, I think, had a bunch of talent, just didn't come to play in the NBA. Yeah, we did have a minute, like in the early 2000s, where I remember when David Stern made everybody start wearing suits.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's like, I can't. He's like, I don't know what to do anymore. He's like, because they look like all the rappers. It's definitely fun to like go through photos of how the NBA and hip hop are always like on top of the fashion. Like whatever's like cool in like the streets or like hip hop culture and stuff, it's always mixed in with the NBA and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the NBA and like shoe culture and urban culture so fun. Yeah. Because it's all like mixed in together.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Because I mean, who would ever thought like Jordan shoes were going to be like a thing that people fight over?
Yeah.
Like, for a second, they didn't even want to do them. If you think about it, in '86, like it was like, yeah, and he didn't like the colorway because he's an NC State guy.
Yeah.
Well, he's a North Carolina guy, and they're NC State colors. It's interesting, especially like if you really think about like Nike and how Nike got started. It got started out of the back of a freaking I forget what those are called, caravan. Like,
yeah,
I forget what kind of cars they called it those days. A Volkswagen, a wagon. Yeah. Popped it open, and there was a bunch of shoes made with a waffle iron.
Yeah,
it's interesting where we are at today, and like the variety of shoes and how many different shoes you can like grab. What besides like basketball shoe for Nike? Are you Air Max guy? Or are you Air Force One guy? Like, what's your shoe that you're gonna wear that you're not gonna like rock? That's not a basketball shoe.
Definitely an Air Max guy. Air Max 1s, Air Max 90.
Okay.
Back last November, I had the opportunity to actually collaborate with Nike, part of their Nike by You.
Okay.
Workshop program.
Yeah.
So they picked like 40 or so people, like creators from around the country, to do a Nike by You shoe and tell a story through shoes. And so I got to do that with them, and that was really fun. I chose the Nike Presto.
Okay. The Prestos don't fit my feet.
Yeah.
I have a wider foot. I definitely do.
The Presto Reacts will. The Presto React is a much roomier shoe.
Those are the ones with like the different like sole, right? Like the bubbly sole.
Let me grab it.
Okay.
All right. So this is the shoe. This is what I ended up with.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Oh, that's what you created.
Yeah, this is what I created, and the story I told was the humankind story.
Okay.
This is part of my brand that I've been doing with some of my lettering. I showed you earlier my other shoes that I painted humankind on the back.
think
Um,
I like that message because I think especially in the world we live in today, we forgot that like even if it's like you're talking about cops and criminals or whatever, or just people from different races or anything. At the end of the day, we're all human.
yeah,
At the end of the day, we all make mistakes and we do the right thing. I
yeah,
really like that. That touches me like big time, and that's
awesome.
really cool because I think we need more love in this world, less bullshit.
We really do need more tolerance, more forgiveness, more understanding.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I understand. Like, I get myself in trouble with PC culture all the time, but I get why it's there because we all do have feelings. But at the same time, we have to remember like people come from different parts of the world or different
Hmm.
parts of the country. There's different ways you're raised. There's different things that are okay and different things that aren't okay in certain parts of the world. And if we just take a second and go, that person's a human too, and let me explain why I
Yeah.
don't like this. And if they listen to me, that's cool. If they don't, I'm not gonna have time for you. I think
Hmm.
that's a good message, and I love it to death.
Thanks, man.
No, you're welcome, man. So let's hit these rapid fire questions because I don't want to keep you up too late,
Let's do it.
especially. All right, so they're just fun, easy ones. What's your favorite food?
Jeez, I love food, man. I
I
love
love,
all food.
I love all.
I don't know how I can pick one.
Really, like not like
Yeah.
Texas barbecue or like I'm just not Texas like
No,
right off the bat.
I feel like everything. There's like a mood for everything.
There is. Are you an authentic Chinese kind of food or American Chinese kind of food?
There's a time and place for both.
Okay. Are you
I
Szechuan guy?
I am
Okay, that's like my favorite kind of chip.
specifically a Szechuan guy.
I love spice, man.
Yeah.
I had a boss, Chinese American, and he told me this place out here. It's Szechuan Kitchen. And I was like, oh, I'll try it. Best
Yeah.
Chinese food I've ever had. It's the only place we in like my my mom kind of deals with spice, but my stepdad and sister like can't handle like sweet chili sauce. Like that's too hot. And I'm like sitting there like sweating. Like we've tried like Peking duck. I've never had duck. That was like one of the best meals I've ever had.
Yeah.
Favorite athlete.
Yeah. Andre Agassi, Penny Hardaway, or current athlete.
Anybody. Like
Any. Yeah. Agassi, Hardaway.
perfect. Do you have any penny jerseys?
I do.
Awesome. Favorite shoe.
Uh, Nike Ergo LWP. It's the one I painted, the first one.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, beer or wine?
Beer.
Beer, all right. It was funny because we had like a run where people were like, "I'm non-drinkers." And I'm like, I might get rid of
Whoa.
this one, which is funny because I'm a non-drinker, and it was like Jeff Pearlman who's just finished writing the Three Ring Circus about he's written a bunch of books, but it's about Kobe, Shaq, and why am I forgetting Phil Jackson? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, he's done a bunch of really cool books, and then Greg Kreindler, who is if you've ever look up Greg Kreindler's Jordan piece. He did the Jordan Fleer card just recently, and
Okay.
he's an oil painter. And
Oh,
the
nice.
detail the guy gets on his work is awesome. Like up here is all he did a thing with tops, and he took his like tops 150 last year. It's 150 years of baseball, and he took 20 cards and painted them. And he just the project he just finished was the Negro League Museum. He painted 223 different portraits of Negro League players, which I thought
Wow.
was especially incredible. Something that not a lot of people know about, but everybody should know about, like that history and how
Yeah.
good it was and how bad it was. Like
Yeah.
the perseverance, like how crappy people treated them. What's your
Yeah.
ideal ball game food? Like if you're going to a Rockets game, what are you picking up?
Probably some loaded nachos.
Do the Rockets have good food?
You know, it's funny. My memory of the Rockets' food uh, is like Americanized Chinese food because
Yeah.
because yeah, I had season tickets when Yao was playing, and so for like 3 straight years, I went to Rockets games and got like Kung Pao chicken from the game.
That's what like people ask me about Mariners, like going to Mariners during Ichiro's time. There's so much Japanese food. Like I've eaten sushi while watching that, or like eating noodles, and people are
That's
like,
so
"What?"
funny.
I'm like, "Yeah, garlic fries are really good there too, but got a lot of like interesting things." Portland,
Yeah.
The thing that they did cool, like the Moda Center. I always forget their naming rights change. They took a lot of local small businesses and put them in there. So like you got like Killer Burger,
that's great.
Big Phallus Chicken, which is like cool because they're places we all like to eat at, just a little bit more expensive and still fun stuff. Last question. Favorite basketball movie? I usually go baseball movie, but we're talking basketball. Basketball.
Seeing that I'm a Penny Hardaway guy, I have to go with Blue Chips.
That's a good movie. I think that's what people forget a lot about. I like He Got Game a lot. I thought that really showed. I mean, that movie's about Hardaway in like the most like non way of saying it's a true story.
Right.
And then I like Love and Basketball is really good.
Mm-hmm.
So that pops in my head. And then like if we want to get in, like Coach Carter's good.
Coach Carter, yeah.
But that new one, The Way Back with Ben Affleck was pretty good. That was the last movie I saw in theaters.
Oh, I need to see that.
It's on HBO if you have HBO.
I don't. But
it's on there, so it's a good one. It's definitely, I'd say it's like a new feeling of Hoosiers, but like you don't have the inspiring coach, you have the drunk coach instead. Just that kind of like hard thing. So, nice. Sir, the floor is yours. Whatever you want to promote, whatever you want to talk about, it is all you.
Dude, I don't know. Thanks so much for having me on, man. It was fun. Find my art. I'm always creating stuff. I'm still trying to navigate my way through, find my niche. Right now, I'm just trying to explore the intersection of art and basketball. So find me at Tinland Studio everywhere, .com, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. YouTube channel is hot and popping right now. I'm like really heavy on that. So there's a lot of interesting stuff on YouTube now.
At least yours is popping. We're still trying to figure this out. Well, everybody, thanks for watching Just Mitchin. You guys can find us, at Just Mitchin on Twitter. At Instagram, JustMitchin_24. I sometimes post on there. I need to get more active. And Just Mitchin on YouTube. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Thank you.